Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I am here. I was doing Christmas with family yesterday and playing board games. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but I made it back. It is great to see everybody. It has been a wonderful last few days. So good morning to Jason. Good morning. We got Jason here. We got Better with Bacon here. The Titterpig Ranchers here. Yes. I noticed your absence on Wednesday, so glad to have you for this. We're looking at Chainmail again today, so going back to the original here, and we're about to get into, we left off about to get into man-to-man combat, and then the very next section is fantasy, so we're going to be talking about the fantasy section next. Hey, PH, so this is a good day to be here. If you missed one, well, this is a good one to be here. Hey, Mike, good morning. Good morning, Charlie and Micah, and BGD is here. Great to see everybody. Michael, good morning. Good morning. So I've been having a good day. I was thinking about going and seeing War of the Rohirrim. I put that out in the Discord server. Is anybody else going to see that? I was kind of thinking like, hey, Cal, good morning. I was kind of thinking last week, about a week ago, that I would go and see that Friday night because I didn't know it was going to get a theatrical release. I don't have a whole lot of high hopes for it, but I've intentionally not watched anything about it. I wanted to go in cold, but I wasn't able to go Friday night because I realized I had to get ready for a Christmas party Saturday morning. So Friday night, I was doing Christmas party stuff, all the prep, wrapping presents. Then yesterday morning, we did like a Christmas brunch with my father's side of the family over at my brother's house at 11 o'clock in the morning. So I went over there, and then I stayed over at my brother's house, and we played some board games that evening. So had a great time with the nephews, played Machi Koro. That was fun. Actually, first of all, one of the things that I gave to my niece for Christmas was Happy Salmon, and that was fantastic. So I gave out some board games, and I was like, hey, is there any kind of game that we can actually play at the party, in order to have some fun? So I bought Happy Salmon, talking about board games. Don't Say What was the other one that Don't Say oh, and Exploding Kittens. I gave one of the nephews Exploding Kittens. So we went over so we opened up Happy Salmon, and if you have children and you need a board game, and it wasn't even all that expensive. It was only a few dollars. It's a small game. It takes like 90 seconds to play. It's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for some kind of gift, Happy Salmon was really good. Don't Say is also really good. It's been a while since I played Exploding Kittens. That one's been out for a while. I hadn't seen Don't Say and I hadn't seen the Happy Salmon. We're all dancing around. There's video recording of us all dancing around. You got to like stand up, and you got to do motions and give each other high fives and things like that. So Happy Salmon, check that one out if you're standing around and you need like the Target or Walmart game sections, and you're looking for a game to play, or a game for a niece or nephew or a younger cousin or son or daughter. Hey, Joel, good morning. So we did that. Then we played Machi Koro. So we had Machi Koro with the nephews, and that was a lot of fun. And then after we played that, my brother and sister-in-law and I learned to play Rising Sun, which we've talked about here on this channel before. We did Rising Sun, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I played before years ago. I didn't remember anything about it, really. So we sat down. My sister-in-law spent about 2 hours figuring out how to play Rising Sun. It's actually not that hard. But it's a really fantastic game. We thought we're looking forward to playing again, because obviously with the first time you go through it, there are a few things that you do a little bit wrong, especially on the first turn. So, there was that. So I want to play it again. Like I was dreaming last night. That was like a 5-hour game, though, because we're highly analytical when it comes to battle and the resource allocation and all of that, because there's no dice. It's a game without dice. All the battles are resolved by bidding with coins and things like that. And so waiting for players to come up with what their bid, that took a little while. You could put a timer on it, I guess. But it was something like we were still playing at like 1 o'clock in the morning. We finished a little bit after 1 in the morning. So I just crashed at their place and then got up this morning and drove here for the morning grind. So I do really recommend Rising Sun. I want to play it again. That was a great game. So it's been a lot of fun and a lot of gaming, and now we're heading into the morning grind. Oh, Cal says, I've been told how bad the War of the Ring is. I can believe, but no, Michael says, I've seen reviews all over the place. Seen reviews all over the place. I think you're not talking about physically, like in different places on the internet. I think you're talking about seeing reviews all over the place as far as whether it's good or bad or whatever, so it must be okay. I wanted to see, I didn't know it was going to have a theatrical release, and I went in blind for Rings of Power and also House of the Dragon, and so I kind of thought, hey, maybe I should do the same thing and give it at least a try and go in cold. I want to see War of the Ring, and then I want to see Nosferatu. We're going to talk about Nosferatu on Table Talk, on the Table Talk channel. So I might go see that Christmas night or whatever, but we're going to, Doug wants to talk about Nosferatu as well. And Brianna and I already talked about the original Nosferatu on Table Talk, and that episode is up on the Table Talk channel. So we've already done the original, so I'm sure she's going to want to go and see the updated version as well. So I've got 2 movies to go and see. It's exciting because I just don't go to. There's not too many movies out there that I want to see anymore. So we got War of the Ring going, and I just why not? Why not give it a try? Maybe it's bad. Maybe it's okay. We will see. Sushi Go. Joel says Sushi Go is a cheap, fun, simple card game drafting game. I don't know that. Oh, but Better with Bacon agrees. Sushi Go is great. So, all right. So that's where we are. I guess we should do our breathe and sip and then get into chainmail here. It's a lot to do. It's been a lot of fun. I feel like the holidays, Christmas is my favorite holiday, but it's also this, like, I feel like I never have enough time to prep. Like I'm putting things together like the night before. One day, I always say this, like one day Thanksgiving's going to hit and then I'm just going to be like Christmas spirit. I didn't even get to decorate. I haven't decorated up here. I've never put up a Christmas tree in my adult life. And really, I don't decorate at all for Christmas. But for the past 2 years, I did decorate behind me for Christmas, and I didn't even get to yet. I mean, there's still time, so maybe I could do that here for the live streams. It is only the 15th, even though we're already having Christmas. All right, hey, let's do a breathe and sip, and then let's get on to chainmail. So it's great to see everybody here. So everybody got your favorite beverage this morning? I've got mine right here. I've got coffee. Some cold coffee that I reheated a moment ago, just as I was coming in the door. So let's go ahead and breathe and sip. Let's take 2 deep breaths, deep breaths, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. So let's go. Let's breathe. And sip. Okay. All right. Rewarmed coffee. I will take it. A little bit of rewarmed coffee. All right. Let's bring this up then. So this says that it's the second edition of Chainmail, which is the one that came out like the year after, but I think they're pretty much substantially the same. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let's go to man-to-man combat. And the reason we're doing this is I still want to go back to the white box. I think it's a good thing to do. But what I didn't know, which many of you may have, was that it actually says in white box D&D that it expects you to have the chainmail rules at the table. I thought that the white box was like something that was self-contained, but it's not. I always heard that, okay, the rules are based on chainmail, and which we should have looked at anyway. But then especially when I was like, oh, okay, it immediately uses those rules and expecting this book to be at your table. That's something different. I was reading something about, so basic D&D. So I believe, you can correct me in the chat, but I believe then blue box D&D, basic D&D, that was the first completely standalone one. Then somebody else came in and wrote what became is the blue cover or blue box, whatever. That was the first standalone. That might be the case now. I was reading something about that on Wikipedia. So Jason says, here's the better combat system, which people don't use because they didn't own the rule book. So they used D20 back in the day. This one is rough, but still way better than D20. Michael says, microwaving your coffee is one of the best ways to make coffee because the way microwaves are tuned to vibrate the water molecules to heat things up, which is why your bread gets soggy. I do drink a lot of microwaved coffee. When I'm at the winery in the morning, there's old coffee sitting there often, and, well, it gets microwaved. All right, so man-to-man combat right here. So instead of using one figure to represent numerous men, a single figure represents a single man. Use the system for small battles and castle sieges. So the sieges, that was interesting to me, that like when you're resolving a siege or really storming the castle, I guess, you were concerned with like how many men are on the ladder and whether or not the first, second, or third man gets hit by a rock. So it did want castle sieges to be man-to-man. When using the man-to-man combat system, all preceding rules apply except where amended below. So when 2 figures are within melee range, which is 3 inches, 1 or several blows will be struck. The order of striking depends upon several factors. The man striking the first blow receives a return blow only if he fails to kill his opponent. Okay, so BGD confirms that. So Holmes Basic, the Blue Book. Okay, so the Blue Book, circa 1977, was the first RPG book I ever owned, and it's fully standalone, he says. All right. So first round, first blow is struck by A, the attacker, unless B, the defender has a weapon which is 2 classes higher, or C, the defender is fighting from above, castle wall, rampart, etc. Second round and thereafter, first blow is struck by the side which struck first blow previously, unless the opponent has a weapon which is 2 classes lower, or the opponent is fighting from above. So, okay, up or a class is higher. I guess, is that reach? I guess it's talking about reach. Oh, Jason says, note. Well, I haven't gotten to that yet, but to note, there wasn't damage yet. Only a chance to kill outright. D&D added damage dice and hit points. Okay, see the table on the page 41 for ranks higher and what that means. Yeah, it's reach. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. So men attacked from the rear do not return a blow on the first round of melee and automatically receive second blow position on the second round of melee. Men attacked from the left flank automatically receive second blow position on the first round of melee. For non-mounted versus mounted men, add 1 to the die roll of the mounted man. For non-mounted versus mounted, add 1 to the die roll of mounted man. Subtract 1 from the die roll of the man on foot. First round only, horsemen add 2. On the second round of melee, the horse as well as its rider attack. The horse counted as the following weapons and able to attack a different opponent than its rider, but only footmen. I guess this is light horse counts as 1 mace attack, medium counts as 2 mace attacks, and heavy counts as 2 flail attacks. So Jason also says, keep in mind these DRMs are 2d6 roll against a to hit number from a table. Oh, you were also in at the ground floor, as you say, Michael? No idea. It was the Blue Book was when D&D was first D&D when I had it. So for any man attacking from the rear in melee, after accepting all pass through and split fire, add 1 to the die roll of the attacker and give the defender no counterattack. 4A, for any weapon 2 or more classes higher than the attacker, the ability to parry does not exist. For a weapon 1 class higher to 3 classes lower than the attacker, the defender may parry the blow by subtracting 2 from the attacker's roll, but he has no counter blow. C, for any defender whose weapon is 4 to 7. Okay, so there are a lot of these weapon classes. Okay. This page, so we need to skip down. I think Jason's telling us to skip down to page 41. I'm on page 28 of this PDF. We'll come right back to it. That's a lot of weapon classes. Let's see. Oh, fantastic sieges. Oh, that's page 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Oh, well, can't find it exactly. Oh, just passed it? Fantasy combat. Fantasy reference. Jousting. Oh, okay. So here it is. Oh, we're turned here. Can I just turn 1? Okay. So here we are. Okay. So man to man, attacker's weapon, dagger, hand axe, mace, sword, battle axe, morning star, flail, spear, pole arms, halberd, second hand weapon, mounted lance or pike. Defender's armor protection type. Oh, something early like armor class here. So defender's armor protection type. So roll 2 dice, score equal to or greater than the number shown kills. So if you are using a sword and your opponent has no armor, you're rolling 2 dice. So that's D6 that we're talking about. 7 or more kills the person. So 8 padded, 8 shield only over here, 9 leather armor plus shield, chain banded, studded or splint, and then chainmail plus shield plus chain, plate armor, plate and shield. If a man dismounted and prone, dice scores of 7 or better kills. So if you haven't done previously, you should definitely give Holmes Basic a page through on the grind. It sounds like we do need to. It doesn't get the love it deserves compared to Boldavie Basic or BX, but it's distinct. It does sound like we need to. So, so I guess this is up or down. So we got 12 different levels. And what is this down here? Individual fire with missiles. Short bow, range 15, horsebow 18, longbow 21. Class of armor worn by defender. There is a kill by a die roll equal to or greater than the numbers below. First number is for close range, second number is for medium range, third number is for maximum range. Ranges are for maximum range. Ranges are divided into thirds, so composite bows close range is 1 to 8, medium range is 9 to 16, and maximum range is 17 to 24. Note 0 equals 10 on the die roll. So 1 is equal to 11, 2 is equal to 12. Slash means inability to kill. Cover subtracts from dice scores. Is this class of armor? Class of armor. Some kind of class of armor, something like an armor class. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Stray. Good to see you. Good morning. Great to have you here. This was all laid out on the typewriter, right? Yeah, it seemed like it must be the columns above because we've got horse over here, no armor and armored. So we got 8. So do we have 8 different classes of armor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we do. We have 8 different classes of armor up there. So there's your original armor class, I guess. I think so. There are 8. Yeah, that seems to line up, and Jason seems to also agree. Okay, let's go back to, what was it, page 28? So this was what I was talking about, like up and down different types of weapons, from dagger, hand axe, mace. So that it is organized by reach, basically here. Let's go back up to like, whoop. So that was, we got the roll to kill. That's what we were talking about. Note how much the smashing weapons are against heavy armor. Oh. Well, okay. Let's take a look at that. So like a mace, no armor 8, 8, 8, 9, 8, 8, 7, 8, 10. No, that's out to 8 here for plate, armor, and shield. Whereas a sword, is 10 and 11 at plate armor versus shield. Plate armor versus sword, 10 and 11. Battle axe, 9 and 10. So the mace is really good there. But the flail is even better. 6 and 9. Two-handed swords, 6 and 7. So that gives you the reason to carry the mace when you're fighting someone in plate armor. Also, like, what about like leather armor? The lance is best, but okay, it's not lance. Two-handed sword, then followed up by a bunch of them. Note there are also cases where leather and a shield is better than heavy armor. Leather and a shield is better than plate. Simulating a dodge. So we need leather, armor, and shield to be higher than plate. Well, it is against the flail. And it's like the same against the mace. Interesting. Oh, yeah, 99. That must just be 9. Yeah, pole arms against plate armor. Yeah, two-handed swords across here 6 6 6 6 5 5 6 7 6. Yes, those are really good. The two-handed sword seems to be the weapon of choice across the board. You're rolling 2 dice. You got to roll above at worst a 6. No, 7. There is a 7 here against plate armor and shield. But still, 7 counts because it's equal to or greater than that number. Yeah, two-handed sword for the win, it looks like. All right, let's head back up. But it's a high rank, yeah, Jason is saying. So let's go. Oh, wait. We looked at all that. Here we go. So, yeah, okay, so there's rear attacks and things like that. So we're looking at this for any weapon 2 or more classes higher than the attacker, the ability to parry does not exist. For a weapon of 1 class higher to 3 classes lower than the attacker, the defender may parry the blow by subtracting 2 from the attacker's roll, but he has no counter blow. For any defender's weapon who is 4 to 7 classes lower than the attacker, the defender has the option to give the first blow or parry the attacker's blow by subtracting 2 from the attacker's roll. If the attacker equals the original requirement for a kill, the higher weapon breaks the defender's weapon. If the parry is successful, the defender gets 1 counter blow. This is the two-handed sword. As a strike rank 10, a two-handed sword can only parry weapons 9 and 12. So you can't, for any weapons 2 or more classes higher than the attacker, for any weapon 1 class higher to 3 classes lower than the attacker, the defender may parry but has no counter blow. For any weapon whose class is 8 or more classes lower than the attacker, the defender gets the first blow and may parry the second or strike the second. He subtracts 1 from the parry on a roll equal to the original kill requirement, breaks the weapon. Pikes, spears, or lances of the attacker do get the first blow over the lower class weapons if there is a charge. Here, the length of the weapon prevents the defender, even the lighter weapon, the ability to get the first blow. Each weapon listed has a number of designating its class. The shorter and lighter the weapon, the lower its class. A man wielding a weapon 4 classes lower strikes 2 blows during each melee round. If a man has a weapon 8 classes lower, he will strike 3 blows during every melee round. This is quite interesting. Morale. Generally speaking, defenders in a castle need never check morale. In other cases, morale is to be checked when 33 1/3% of an army has been killed. Using the standard morale tables, check by type of troop and allow any bonuses to dice. For a cavalry charge, use combat tables for 1 to 20 to determine if a check is necessary. Double for flank or rear attacks. 4 heavy foot must check if charged by 1 heavy horse. 8 heavy foot must check if charged in the flank or rear. Okay, so I guess there's actually a lot kind of packed into those 2 pages. So that does make me, I want to know more about that because, there is no hit points. You're either alive or you're dead. But there's a lot to adjudicate between those 2 things. So how does that square with the white box D&D? We go into jousting from there. Knights in friendly combat armed with lance and shield and mounted upon mighty destriers. Each player can operate one or several knights to stage a tourney. Method of play. Each player selects an aiming point, his attack, and a position in the saddle, his defense. Note that the aiming point will preclude certain defensive positions in most but not all cases. The aiming point of each player is matched against the position of their opponent and the result found. Results can vary from both opponents missing to both being unhorsed, as a study of the jousting matrix, see Appendix C, will reveal. When results have been determined, one ride has been completed. If neither opponent has been unhorsed, the procedure is repeated until one or both simultaneously, opponent is knocked from his saddle, or 3 rides have been completed. The joust is over as soon as both opponents are unhorsed or 3 rides has been completed without either party being unhorsed. Tourneys. To simulate medieval jousting tourney, it's necessary to have teams consisting of several knights each. Each ride scores each ride on the following table. Result: breaks lance, attacker -1, defender 0. Helm knocked off, +3 attacker. I thought you were supposed to break lances. This is telling me that you don't do that. So helm knocked off, +3 attacker, +0 defense. Injured 0 attacker, -10 defender. Unhorsed +20. Although a simple 1 lost record will suffice, use the table will assure that there will be few ties in the tourney. So this was meant to be used with white box D&D, plus hit points and damage points were added. So that's coming in the white box. By the way, this jousting system was reused in chivalry and sorcery with some elaboration. Suggested point values. This is for creating your army, I guess. So Jason says, you are supposed to break lances. Chivalry and sorcery did this better, but uses the same shield area, simultaneous choice idea. It added rider position, lean right or lean left. Let's go down and take a look at, so this is on page 30 of the PDF. Let's go down, because I saw, we saw a jousting matrix. Should be, yep, yeah, okay, jousting matrix. Come on. There we go. Okay, jousting matrix. So aim point, helm. Well, what is DC? Okay, what is? Oh, okay, over here. Here's the shield. Dexter, pale, sinister. Oh, okay. All right. So aim point, helm. So DC is like Dexter. No, Dexter chief. Okay. Aim point, Dexter chief. And that should be as you're holding the shield. Yeah, your sinister is your left as you're holding the shield. So that is correct over here. Dexter chief, sinister chief, Dexter fest, sinister fest, base, chief pale, fess pale. Okay, so we're targeting the shield or the helm or the base of the shield over here. Possible defense positions: lower helm, lean right, lean left, steady seat, shield high, shield low. And so we're combining our aiming point with our defense position. B being break lance. Any knight who breaks his lance or has his helm knocked off must assume position 4 during the next ride. What is position 4? Steady seat. G is glances off. H is helm knocked off. So when does the helm get knocked off? When someone's aiming at your helm and you've chosen a steady seat. I is injured. U is unhorsed. M is miss. What is all this over here? PDP, AP, possible defense positions considering aiming point. Possible defense positions considering aiming point. Okay, so I think this is saying, so it says any right here. So if your aiming point is the center pale, you can adopt any defensive position. But if you are aiming for the helm, you can only adopt steady seat, high shield, or low shield. That'd be my understanding. No, you aim with the enemy defense. You only have certain defense choices. Right, yeah. So that's this over here. Yeah. Better with Bacon says this feels like rock, paper, and scissors, but with more steps. Yeah, so you make your choices and then simultaneously resolve it, right? But what is like BUI? That could be break lance, unhorsed, or injured. How do I know what happens if I've got more than one result in here? Jason says, my aim, you defense determines the effect of my strike. You do yours simultaneously. Resolve as both pass. Yeah. Huh. I do wonder. So the only thing I don't understand is what happens when I've gotten multiple results in my column. I bet Jason will know. This is going down to the fantasy reference table. It seems like there must be a role for it or something. Like 1, 2, or 3, or 50-50 or something like that. That's how it seems. Rabivania will probably need good jousting rolls. Okay. Let's go back up. Okay, so here we are. So here now we're back to, although it's okay, now we are back to so, or at least in the chivalry and sorcery, there was a roll. So all right, although a simple one law, okay, so now here are suggested point values. I mean, that's how it seems like I would play it, Mike, at the moment, just knowing what I know. We've got point values, additional weapons cost. Is this per soldier? Is this an individual? Mercenaries cost 1/2 of the above points. All right, let's get into the fantasy supplement. All right. So what the individual combat and then the fantasy supplement is what many of us have been waiting for. So this says most of the fantastic battles related in novels more closely resemble medieval warfare than do earlier or later forms of combat. Because of this, we're including a brief set of rules which will allow the medieval miniatures wargamer to add a new facet to this hobby and either refight the epic struggles related by J.R.R. Tolkien, Robert E. Howard, or other fantasy writers, or you can devise your own world and construct fantastic campaigns and conflicts based on it. The utilization of varied scales of figures is almost a must for fantastic wargaming, considering that spectacle is an important part of miniature warfare, and doubly so when fighting fantastic battles. This dictates that the scale for man-sized be either 30 millimeter or 40 millimeter. So we do have hobbits here. Hobbits and sprites should be 10 millimeter when men are 30 millimeter, or 20 millimeter when men are 40 millimeter. Dwarves, gnomes, goblins, and kobolds, 20 millimeter to 30 millimeter. Elves, fairies, and orcs, 25. Balrogs, ogres, and trolls at 40. Djinn, dragons, ifrit, elementals, ents, giants, and rocks at 54 millimeters. Man-sized figures include ghouls, heroes, including anti-heroes, and superheroes of the Conan type. Shape changers, wights, wizards, wraiths, including Nazgul. Cool. Nazgul are cool. Fantastic characters. See also Appendix D, hobbits. These little chaps have small place in the war game, but you may want them for recreation of certain battles. Remember that they are able to blend into the background and so make excellent scouts. They can fire a stone as far as the archer shoots, and because of their well-known accuracy, for every two hobbits firing, count 3 on the missile fire table. Morale rating 5, point value is missed out over here. Sprites and pixies. These are also small creatures who have the power to become invisible and remain so in battle. When sprites attack, they suffer no casualties during the first round of melee. Therefore, thereafter, surprise wears off, and the defender are able to note the minor shadows and air distortions caused by sprites. Sprites can fly for 3 turns maximum before landing. Morale rating 3, point value 4. Dwarves and gnomes. Because their natural habitat is deep under the ground, these stout folk operate equally well day or night. Although they are no threat to the larger creatures, trolls, ogres, and giants find them hard to catch because of their small size. So count only 1/2 normal kills when dwarves and gnomes fight with them, for either attacks upon dwarves and gnomes or returns, should the dwarves be the attacker. For either attacks or, I guess, return attacks. I guess that's what I was trying to say. Goblins and kobolds are the natural and most hated enemies, and dwarves and gnomes will attack goblins and kobolds before any other enemies in sight, regardless of orders to the contrary. However, dwarves and gnomes will not have to roll an obedience die, as do knights, to follow orders, i.e., they will not automatically attack. But if ordered to attack, and goblins and kobolds are within charging distance, they will attack the goblins-kobold formation to the exclusion of orders to the contrary. Morale 5.2. Yeah. So all the denial of Lord of the Rings being influenced by Gygax are obviously dashed based on this. Note also the Howard reference. Yeah, there is, I mean, clearly that's true. Because I was like, oh, really? So more Conan and swords and sorcery kind of stuff? I mean, yes, we've got the Howard reference, but I mean, there is a ton of LOTR in here. Yeah, we're back to mass fighting, right? Yes. Goblins and kobolds see well in dimness or dark, but they do not like bright light. When fighting in full daylight or bright light, they must subtract 1 from their morale rating, as well as 1 from any die rolled. Because of their reciprocal hatred, goblins and kobolds will automatically attack any dwarves and gnomes within charging distance. Morale rating 5, point value 1.5. Elves and fairies. Armed with deadly bows and magical swords, elves and fairies are dangerous opponents considering their size and build. They can perform split fire and move, even though they are footmen. Split move and fire, even though they're footmen. When invisible elves and fairies cannot attack or be attacked unless located. When invisible, elves and fairies cannot attack or be attacked unless located by an enemy with the special ability to detect hidden or invisible troops, but they can become visible and attack during the same turn. Those elves and fairies armed with magical weapons add an extra die in normal combat, and against other fantastic creatures, they will perform even better. Oh, we got a table here. Goblins add 3 dice to combat tables. Orcs, 2 dice to combat tables. Hero types, fantasy combat table, score 9, and so forth. Mike says, seasonal affective disorder affects morale. Orcs. Besides reacting to light in the same manner as goblins do, after all, orcs are nothing more than overgrown goblins, orcs are quarrelsome and factious. According to the best authority, there are at least 5 kinds, tribes or perhaps clans of them. These are orcs of the Red Eye, orcs of Mordor, orcs of the mountains, orcs of the White Hand, and Isengarders. So we're trying to even get into the Uruk-hai here. It can therefore be assumed that if there are 2 or more units of orcs, They will be from differing bands. If orcs of different kinds approach within a charge move of each other, and they are not meleeed by the enemy, they will attack each other unless a score of 4 or more is bettered on a roll on the obedience die. Yes, I've got. I at one time wrote something about all different types of orcs and goblins that I could come up with from Lord of the Rings when I was doing a LOTR conversion for GURPS, and it's gone now. I can't find it, but it would have been great. I wish I still had it. Heroes and anti-heroes. Included in this class are certain well-known knights, leaders of army contingents, and similar men. They have the fighting ability of 4 figures, the class being dependent upon the arms and equipment of the hero types themselves, who can range from light foot to heavy horse. Heroes and anti-heroes need never check morale. And they add 1 die or dice, 1 to the die or dice of their unit or whatever unit they are with. They're the last figure of a unit to be killed by regular missile fire or melee. They may be attacked individually by enemy troops of like type, such as other hero types, or creatures shown in the fantasy combat table. Heroes and anti-heroes may act independent of their command in order to combat some other fantastic character. When meleeed by regular troops and combat takes place on the non-fantasy combat table, 4 simultaneous kills must be scored against heroes, or that's kind of like giving them hit points, I guess, to eliminate them. Otherwise, there's no effect upon them. A hero type armed with a bow shoots a dragon passing within range overhead out of the air and kills it. So a hero, this is like Bard here. We're talking about, this is like the Bard rule. A hero type armed with a bow shoots a dragon passing within range overhead out of the air and kills it on a 2 dice roll of 10 or better, with 2 + 1 on the dice firing an enchanted arrow. With 2 + 1 on the dice firing an enchanted arrow. Yeah, that's the Bard rule. Jason says this was hit points. Yes, and it's the basis of the hero fighting like 4 men in the experience table in the white box D&D. Yeah, Michael says it's interesting. Hobgoblins are described as uber goblins in D&D, but in mythology they're mini goblins. Yep, that's the Black Arrow. That's exactly what we've got here. Superheroes. Few and far between, these fellows are one-man armies, particularly when armed with magical weaponry. They act as hero types in all cases, except they are about twice as powerful. When a superhero approaches within his charge movement of the enemy, all such units must check morale as if they have taken excess casualties. When a superhero approaches within his charge movement enemy, all such units check morale. A superhero armed with a bow shoots a dragon passing within range overhead out of the air and kills it on a roll of 2 dice, 8 or better, 7 or better with enchanted arrow. Wizards, including sorcerers at -1, warlocks at -2, and magicians at -3. This class includes sorcerers and warlocks. In normal combat, wizards will fight as 2 armored foot or 2 medium horse if mounted, and wizards can handle magical weaponry. However, their chief prowess lies elsewhere. Wizards can become invisible and remain so until they attack. They can see in the darkness. They can affect friends and enemy morale, as do superheroes. They throw deadly missiles, and wizards cast terrible spells. Wizards are themselves impervious to normal missile fire, but if they are struck by a missile from an enemy wizard, they must score 7 or better with 2 to survive. Adjust all dice scores by the lesser value of weaker magic users. Missiles. A wizard can throw either of 2 types of missiles. Select before play begins. A fireball, equal to a hit area of the large catapult hit area, or a lightning bolt, 3/4 of an inch wide by 6 inches long, with an attack value equal to heavy field gun, are the 2 missile types employed. These missiles will destroy any men or creatures which are struck by them, with certain exceptions noted below. Both types of missiles can be thrown up to 24 inches direct or indirect fire, with range being called before the hit pattern is placed. The center of the fireball is placed down at the number of the inches called. The head of the lightning bolt is placed at the number of inches called, so its body extends 6 inches behind it in a straight line from the wizard who threw it. Oh, both of them can be thrown 24 inches. Okay, I thought the lightning bolt was like direct from his fingers, but you can throw the lightning bolt too. Interesting. Yes, very limited spell list. Origin of saving throws. Yeah, right here. You're talking about with the wizard. By a missile, an enemy wizard, they must score 7 or better to survive. Yeah, wizards, and so they might be the glass cannon, right? Result of a hit. Oh, so here we go. So now here are this. I think here's what we're talking about with the saving throws. Exceptions. Results of a hit. Hero type saved by a dice roll of 9 or better. Superhero saved by 6 or better. Wraith 7. Balrog 6. Giant dice under 5 routes off by board. Dice under 9. Blah blah blah. Elementals. Spells. There are virtually unlimited number of spells that can be employed, but the list below contains the major ones used in most fantastic battles. If there are 2 or more opposing wizards and the game is not a recreation of a recreation of a battle found in a novel, determine which is the stronger magician by casting dice if necessary. The stronger magician can successfully cast a counter spell with a 2 dice score of 7 or better, while a weaker magician needs a score of 8, 9, or 10, depending on his relative strength. A counterspell fully occupies a magician's powers. 1, phantasmal forces. Whoa, is this our first documentation of instead of phantasmal force, but phantasmal forces? Let's see. The creation of the apparition of a unit or creature for 4 turns. Phantasmal forces. Oh. Apparition, unit, or creature for 4 turns. Darkness. Casting increases gloom over the entire area for as long as the wizard is not attacked. On the turn the spell is cast, light is not affected. On the second turn, semi-darkness sets in. On the third turn, it becomes fully dark. Only those troops that can see in darkness can attack and defend. The spell takes the reverse order when ending or countered. Wizard light. The dispellation of darkness in an area extending 24 inches in all directions, radiating from the wizard casting the spell. 4, detection. A spell which detects either hidden enemies or the use and effect of other magic spells. It will not discover hidden enemies or the type of magic being employed if the opposing wizard is of greater strength, but the use of magic by the enemy will be revealed. 5, concealment. A spell which will conceal a unit or fantastic creature from all save certain creatures which have the power to detect hidden enemies. 6, conjuration of an elemental. Wizards can conjure elementals, but no more than 1 of each type can be brought into existence. Note, this does not apply to Jinn or Efreet. If the wizard who conjures the elemental is disturbed, attacked, while the elemental is still in existence, he loses control of it, and he will then attack the conjurer. An elemental created by a wizard who is subsequently killed will attack the nearest figure. Such elementals must be dispelled by a wizard or killed by combat. 7, moving terrain. Causing the shifting of vegetation, hills, etc. A spell possible only to a wizard. 8, protection from evil. Protection from evil. A 12-inch diameter circle which will keep out all evil and fantastic creatures and men. Mike says, hello, darkness, my old friend. I know, it is interesting that the phasing in of the darkness and phasing back out. Interesting darkness spell happened in stages and not insta-black. And then goes away in the same way. I think it's interesting, too. In order to cast and maintain a spell, a wizard must be both stationary and undisturbed by attack upon this person. Number of spells. The power of the magic user determines the number of spells he is able to manage. Wizard 6 to 7, Sorcerer 5, Warlock 4, Magician 3. Spell distances. The distances at which the magic user can continue his spell is also reflected by his power. Wizard, unlimited. Sorcerer 60, Warlock 48, Magician 36. And then here we have the morale rating. And clearly these are high point value guys. Wraiths, Nazgul, etc. Wraiths can see in darkness, raise the morale of friendly troops as if they were heroes, cause the enemy to check morale as if they were superheroes, and paralyze the enemy man. Excluding all mentioned in the fantasy supplement they touch during the course of a move, not flying. Paralyzed troops remain unmoving until touched by a friendly elf, hero type, or wizard. Touch means either actual contact or coming within 1 inch of. A wraith can either move normally or fly, remaining in the air for as many turns as desired. They melee as either 2 armored foot or 2 medium horse, and they're impervious to all save magical weapons or combat with other fantastic creatures. Morale 10, point value 10. Lycanthropes. The Rays are playing freeze tag. Right, yes. So interacts with orcs having low morale and full light, etc. So yeah, the wizard, that's also a Tolkien thing. So the wizards are supposed to be covering the orcs in darkness, the orcs and goblins in darkness. The 2 main types of lycanthropes are werebears and werewolves. The lycanthrope will bring a number of animals of its own were type with it, and this adds to their fighting ability. If they are fighting inside of or within 6 inches of a wood other than an end wood, they will double their melee capability. Lycanthropes attack as 4 armored foot and defend as 4 heavy foot. They take 4 simultaneous hits from either missile or melee to kill a lycanthrope in normal combat. Magical weapons will kill them in single hit. Lycanthropes can see in darkness. 20 and 20. Trolls and ogres. What are generally referred to as trolls are more appropriately ogres. Intermediate creatures between men and giants. They will fight in formation. So okay, let's talk about trolls and ogres. Now, what you generally think about as a troll is actually an ogre. That's an intermediate creature between men and giants. They will fight in formations and have melee capability of 6 heavy foot. Trolls and ogres can see in the darkness but suffer no penalty in full light. True trolls are much more fearsome beasts. See Paul Anderson's 3 Heart and 3 Lions. Does anybody know that one? I do not. Oh, I didn't pick up on that the lycanthrope is supposed to be. It does say shape changers. That is a call out to Bjorn. It sure is. Yeah, I bet that's that. Yeah, a shape changer for a werebear. Yes, excellent catch, Jason. Definitely a shout out to Bjorn. Or see Beowulf, Grendel, and the Dread Sea Hag. So what are generally referred to as trolls are more... Okay, so wait a minute. So see Paul Anderson's 3 Hearts and 3 Lions. I don't know that one. If anyone does, let us know what it is. Ogres are killed when they have taken an accumulation of 6 missile hits or melee hits in normal combat. Elves can kill them with 3 hits, and hero types or magical weapons kill them with a single hit. True trolls can only be killed in fantastic combat against hero types, Balrogs, elementals, and giants. Magical weapons will kill true trolls. Use the combat table below. Die roll based on what you are. Magical weapon 8 or better if used by a figure that can kill a true troll without the aid of a magical weapon adds 2 to the dice score. True trolls always fight alone and never need morale checks. They fight as giants on the fantasy combat table, but only as 3 armored foot when attacking or being attacked by men. Balrogs. A Balrog is a truly terrible opponent. Balrogs cannot be killed by normal missile fire or in normal combat. It inflicts casualties in normal combat as if it were 2 heavy horse. In addition, the Balrog can immolate any normal figure it touches during its move or melee. They operate equally well in darkness or in light. They can fly 15 inches per turn and remain airborne for 3 turns. 75 point value. BGD says, the Anderson troll is where the first edition D&D gets the archetype it popularized for the last 50 years. one with the signature ability of regeneration, whereas ogres are merely discounted hill giants. Oh, really? Well, that's important to know. So this Anderson's 3 Hearts and 3 Lions is where troll regeneration comes from? Well, that's fascinating. Is that something that I'm just going to make a note here? I don't know what is that, a book or a short story or something like that? I don't know. I'm just going to make a note of that. Oh. Well, my computer will let me. There we go. Look up Anderson's 3 Hearts and 3 Lions. Okay. It's so neat finding out where these things originate from. Okay, so whereas giants are one of the most effective fighters. They can demolish normal opponents with ease, for they melee as 12 heavy foot with an additional die for their oversized weapons. They defend as 12 armored foot, and giants must take cumulative hits equal to a number sufficient to destroy 12 armored footmen before melee or missiles can kill them. They defend as 12 armored foot, and giants must take cumulative hits equal to or number to 12 armored footmen before they can be killed. Moreover, giants act as highly mobile small catapults, 20 inches, without minimum range restrictions, and can move on turns they don't throw missiles. For reloading them simply consist and can move on turns they don't throw missiles. For reloading them is simply consists of picking up a boulder and giving it a heave. Giants never need to check morale. Ents. Jason says, by the way, to understand the man-to-man system, try a few such as two-handed swords and chain versus sword and shield and leather, spearman versus sword. That could be interesting to do. So the dragons are feared everywhere and with good reason. We will deal here with the great red dragon, Draco Conflagratio, or Draco Horribilis, which is typified in Tolkien's The Hobbit. All kinds of pop-ups coming up. Okay, there we go. I have never seen that. Draco Conflagratio, or Draco Horribilis, which is typified in Tolkien's The Hobbit. Dragons can see equally well in darkness or in light. They cause enemy troops within 15 inches of them to check morale, just as if they had suffered excess casualties. Dragons have the power to detect any... Hey, Michael. Good to see you here. They cause enemy troops within 15 inches of them to check morale, just as if they have suffered excess casualties. Dragons have the power to detect any hidden or invisible enemies that are within 15 inches of. They can fly 25 inches per turn and can remain aloft indefinitely. They melee as if they were 4 heavy horse, being impervious to missile or melee hits in normal combat. See hero and superhero sections for the only exceptions. Their most dreaded weapon is their fiery breath, which is represented by a truncated cone, 1/2 inch diameter at the mouth and 3 inches in diameter at the far end. Man, I get so excited about this kind of thing. I was excited. I was really enjoying playing games last night with the family. Board games, these kinds of things are my thing. Had a great time playing the Rising Sun, and I was telling my brother and sister-in-law that I was like, we got to play some Hero Quest this Christmas, over the Christmas break with the nephews, because I'm really excited about being able to take them into D&D. I think it's just time we'll just make the jump between there. This is why I love the morning grind. Okay, so the cone, 1/2 inch in diameter at the mouth and 3 inches in diameter at the end. The range of dragon fire overall length is 9 inches. A dragon can fly overhead and belch fire down on its enemies at the end of its move. Dragon fire will kill any opponent it touches. This auto kill. The auto kill stuff is interesting too. I was thinking about that quite a bit actually over the past couple of days when I had time for my mind to wander. Instead of everything, okay, what's the die roll percentage chance that this happens? That so much of this is deterministic, and that's interesting to me. So Dragonfire kills any opponent touches, except another dragon, superhero, or wizard who is saved on 2 dice roll of 7 or better. They get saving throws. Everybody else, it's a deterministic kind of form of combat, which would, it's not really something I've ever played. Certain elementals are also impervious to Dragonfire. After breathing fire 3 times, a dragon must land and remain stationary for 1 turn in order to rekindle its internal fires. Because they're extremely evil and egotistical beasts, dragons will automatically attack in order of preference the following fantastic creatures, regardless of which side they are on. Dragons, other dragons? Dragons, giants, balrogs, rocks, true trolls, elementals, and ints. Dragons never check morale. Other kinds of dragons can be introduced into games if a little imagination is used. White dragons live in cold climates and breathe frost. Okay. Black dragons are tropical and spit caustic acid. The blue variety discharges a bolt of electricity. Green dragons waft poisonous vapors, chlorine at their opponent. That's Warhammer too, right? I mean, chlorine gas dragons. Imagine having to roll for every mini on the board. But that's Warhammer, right? I mean, Warhammer did that. PH says, I wonder with today's technology if it would be possible to fully automate all the calculations for this game. And if possible, would that be a good thing or actually take away from the fun? Well, that's true. Chess is completely deterministic. Yes, chess is. I've played chess. But yeah, we are getting the whole and checkers is. I mean, I played chess and checkers, yes. So, true, Jason. But most of the time when I'm getting out the miniatures, I can't think of a game that we didn't have dice with. I mean, you've got dice here, but yeah, that's really cool that we already have all of the dragon types here in this early book. Finally, the purple or mottled dragon is a rare flightless worm with a venomous sting in its tail. The basilisk and cockatrice are probably best included as dragons. Rocks, including wyverns and griffins, look, wyvern spelled with an I, against normal troops, rocks attack as 4 light horse and defend as 4 heavy horse. They require cumulative hits equal to a number sufficient to kill heavy horse and to be killed themselves. Rocks cause the enemy to check morale as if they were heroes. Rocks can detect hidden enemies within 48 inches, but they cannot detect invisible creatures. Rocks are able to transport a man-sized figure up to 36 inches during any turn. Rocks never need to check morale. These are equal to the eagles of Tolkien's trilogy. Yes, definitely Tolkien inspired. Michael says a better example is Stratego with different values. Yes, Stratego. Right, that's exactly right. Rolling for every figure is fine because that's what Warhammer does. Right, yes. Tons of small dice. Stratego. Yes, you're right. That is a pretty good example. Well, and no, see, diplomacy, but I think I've only played that once. So I guess yes, they are out there. But when I get out my actual painted miniatures, I guess is what I had in my mind as I was talking about that. I used to play Stratego with my grandfather. Elementals, including Jinn and Ifrit. We're going to keep going. I think I have enough time to finish this today because it's the holidays. I'm going to go right. I'm going to clean. I'm going to work. I got to work on my next holiday party, stuff like that. And I'm trying to still decide whether or not I'm going to go out and see War of the Rohirrim or not. But we got time this morning to keep going. I think we can finish this morning and then return to the white box on Wednesday. So elementals, including Jinn and Ifrit. In order to bring these creatures into a game, it's necessary they be conjured by a wizard. There are 2 classes of elementals, those subject to fire, air, and water elementals, and those subject to electricity, earth, and fire elementals. Note that fire-breathing dragons will not affect the latter kind of elementals. Air elementals, including Jinn, fly 24 inches, attack as 4 light horse, or impervious to normal attacks against them, and add 2 to their dice roll when combating airborne opponents. Earth elemental, move 6 inches, attack as 4 heavy horse, or impervious to normal attacks against them. That's nice. Impervious to normal attacks against them, and add 1 to their dice score when fighting earthbound opponents. Fire elementals, including Ifrit, move 12 inches, attack as 4 medium horse, are impervious to normal attacks against them, and add 2 to their dice scores when combating opponents who normally employ fire, Balrogs, dragons, and wizards who cast fireballs. Water elementals move 6 inches outside of water, 18 inches in water, must remain within 6 inches of water at all times. Attack is 4 light horse on land and 4 heavy horse in water. Water elementals are impervious to attacks against them, and they add 2 to their dice score when fighting or within 3 inches of a large body of water, river, or lake. Only 1 elemental of each kind may be brought into any game and play at a time. If an elemental is uncontrolled by the wizard who summoned it, it will attack the wizard who conjured it, moving towards him in a straight path, attacking any figures in its path. Jason says, diplomacy is not a game to play with people you want to remain friends with, because backstab is everything in diplomacy. I still want to play. In fact, I was talking to my brother and sister-in-law about that last night, because I said, I do really want to try this diplomacy game, and we should play it here on our laptops, bring it down and sit and play with our laptops or iPads or something like that to log into a game and just play rather than having to actually do the write down all the orders and things like that, because we were enjoying Rising Sun, which was diceless combat, a diceless combat system. Okay, so let's see. So Basilisk and Cockatrice. These horrible beasts will turn to stone. Anyone except a magic user or superhero can be saved by 2 dice rolls of 6 or better who look at their face. Any figure that touches or is touched by them must throw to be saved. Hobbits, dwarves, gnomes, goblins, kobolds, ents, orcs, giants need 10 or better. All others need 7 or better to be saved. They do not otherwise attack, and they defend as a lycanthrope. They should only be allowed in play only under specific circumstances and not as by general selection. Chimera. Under this general heading fall all sorts of beasts such as griffins, hippogriffs, wyverns, etc. Treat them as the most nearly corresponding type of creature covered herein. Griffin equal rock, wyvern equal dragon, etc. Giant spiders and insects. The possibilities for employing such creatures are almost endless, and the abilities and weaknesses of each should be decided upon prior to the game they are to be used in. For example, a giant spider might be unkillable by normal men, but will kill them unless they roll a save of 10 or better, and it would combat fantastic opponents as if it were a lycanthrope. Wights and ghouls. Although they are foot figures, wights and ghouls melee as light horse and defend as heavy horse. They cannot be harmed by normal missile fire. Wights and ghouls can see in darkness and must subtract 1 from each die roll they roll when in full light. If they touch a normal figure during melee, it becomes paralyzed and remains so for 1 complete turn. A paralyzed figure is considered to be able to strike a blow at the wight just prior to paralysis taking effect, so melee can occur but only 1 round. Okay, fantasy combat tables. See Appendix E. Magical weapons. There is something, even though this is clunky by today's standards. I mean, I think we can say that there's so much charm to it. I had some old war game rules that my uncle gave to me, and I can't even remember what their name is. But it's a rule book that I will find and then lose and then find and then lose. But I remember having some old war game rules that had this kind of charm in it. If I can ever find them again, I will look at them. Magical weapons. Okay, elves, hero types, and certain magic users can wield magic weapons. Ensorcelled arms are of 2 kinds, enchanted arrows and magic swords, although Odin's spear and Thor's hammer are probably are properly in the general category. Enchanted arrows. These missiles will always hit a normal target, but against fantastical opponents shown on the fantasy combat table, they allow the figure employing the weapon to roll 2 dice, just as if a melee was taking place, and if the score is sufficient, the target is killed. Of course, there is no return roll unless the target is also armed with a similar weapon. Treat elves armed with enchanted arrows as hero types for the purposes of missile fire against enchanted targets. 10 points per arrow. Magic swords. Because these weapons are almost entities in themselves, they accrue real advantage to the figure so armed. So we're not talking about a +1 weapon here, it sounds like. In normal combat, they merely add an extra die. It is in fantastic combat the magic swords are most potent. Besides allowing elves to combat certain fantastic figures, they give a +1 to the die score when employing the fantasy combat table. And magical swords shed a light of their own over a circle 12 inches in diameter. Oh. Magical swords shed a light of their own over a circle 12 inches in diameter, which dispels darkness but does not equal full light. Excalibur and other super swords would give a +2 or +3. Well, that's pretty neat. Did we ever look at the AD&D rules for like mass combat rules? I'm pretty sure I've got it someplace. Okay, so yes, they are +1 swords, but a hero combat table that can kill giants with 1 hit. +1 swords. Yeah, I was talking about not just your general +1 in standard D&D today, but +1 on the hero combat table. Magic armor subtracts 1 from the opponent's attack die on fantasy table, 3 on man-to-man attacks. Air movement. If any number of figures are airborne at one time, it becomes difficult to maintain a side record. It becomes difficult to maintain a side record of their height and course. It is recommended that a number of 36-inch dowels be set firmly onto 2x4 bases, and flying figures be secured at the proper height of the dowel by using a rubber band. So you have these 36-inch dowels, 2-inch by 4-inch bases, and then the flying figure is rubber banded to the correct height. I love it. Catapult fire versus fantastic figures. Only the following kinds of fantastic creatures will be subject to catapult fire, including missile fire by giants: hobbits, sprites, dwarves, gnomes, goblins, kobolds, elves, fairies, orcs, heroes, anti-heroes, wights, ghouls, lycanthropes, ogres, ints, and rocks. Combinations. There are certain natural, though rare, combinations. A good example of this is Moorcock's anti-heroish Eric of Bellenborn, who combines the attributes of the hero type with wizardry and wields a magic sword in the balance. Whatever combinations you do decide to use, remember to be careful so as not to make one too powerful so as to destroy play balance. So we do have a note about balance right here. Fantastic sieges. To combine sieges and fantasy section, use the following. Dwarves dig twice as fast as a number of human sappers. They may attempt 2 more mines or counter mines than usual. Orcs dig 1.5 times as fast, 1 more mine or counter mine. Points of damage by fantastic forces. Balrog troll is knocking down your fortress, and some of these may inflame wooden structures. We got law, neutral, and chaos right here. Well, here is law, law, neutral, and chaos. It is impossible to draw a distinct line between good and evil fantastic figures. 3 categories are listed below as a general guide for the wargamer designing orders of battle involving fantastic creatures. Interesting. Oh, it's Eric. Oh yeah, so that would mean, because it's not full light. So magical glowing swords affected the morale of light-hating monsters. Underlying neutral figures have a slight predisposition for law. Neutral figures could be diced for to determine on which side they will fight, with ties meaning they remain neutral. All right, let's flip this around. Getting to our tables again. Combat tables. I was kind of wondering. So we do need. So here are the combat tables. So armored foot versus light foot versus light horse. -1 die per 2 men. 6 kills. The Swiss lands connect attacking in close formation. 5 by 2 figures minimum. Fight is armored foot with extra dice for weapons. For every 2 men so attacking, as additional mass shock die is added. Men armed with pike or halberd add an extra die. Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, the hero moves within 12 inches. Buckets of dice, basically. Standards for miniatures in the era and sense. Jason says, by the way, Lion Rampant uses a clever variant of this in modern minis. So we looked at our man-to-man table. We looked at our jousting matrix. Here is our fantasy. Is this that fantasy reference table? One more time. There we go. Fantasy combat table. Attacker entry against hero. Roll 2 dice. Score under total shown above means no effect. Score equal to total means defender must fall back 1 move. Score over the total shown above indicates the defender is killed. Asterisk means may withdraw from combat if opponent dice score is no effect. And the @ note that other magic users are at lesser values. For combat against men and smaller creatures, as well as special combat abilities, see the section pertaining to each particular type. All right. Other booklets from Gaiden Games. Strategy for Avalon Hill Games, Wargammer's Guide to the Africa Corps, Wargammer's Guide to the Battle of the Bulge, Wargammer's Guide to Stalingrad. So here we got Chainmail Tactics, Advanced Rules for World War II, Hardtack Rules for the American Civil War, $2.50, Fast Rules. World War II, Don't Give Up the Ship, Rules for the Great Era of Fighting Sail, Cross Tactic, Rules for Conducting 18th Century Battles, Ironclad, American Civil War Naval Rules, Tricolor, Napoleonic Battles. I guess that's it. Now we know Chainmail, or at least have been through it. That was really interesting. I'm glad we did this. Tractics, and not tactics, as in tank tracks. Got it. Well, that was really interesting. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. So now we have been through Chainmail and we know what that's about. So I guess we'll return to the white D&D book later. But looking at this book is something I've been meaning to do for a long time. And actually, that's why I started the morning grind. Part of the reason that I started the morning grind anyway was to have an excuse to sit down and look through and go through a whole bunch of materials that I wouldn't otherwise. So now we know. And if anybody's talking to you about what's inside of it or whatever else, now we know. We've actually been through this. Did this warrant a content disclaimer from Wizards of the Coast? I don't think so. We'll talk more about that later, I think. Yeah, I know. Some of the monsters, the origin of the monsters, how early some of those things occurred, it really was. And thank you very much, especially to Jason, for being with us and helping us out with all of this. Yes, you were voted the MVP last time, so I think you were the MVP as well here. All right, well, I'm going to go do stuff. Everybody, holidays are coming. I'm sure other people have holiday stuff to do as well. So I will see everybody later. We might look at War of the Rohirrim on Tuesday night for Table Talk if I go and see it. We will see. All right, later. Everybody, go forth, be creative, be constructive, and be productive. Later, everybody.